All right, so here we go. So I just did that one little quick one on Coon Rapids. I might have to expound upon that a little bit more one time, but it's not. That was kind of around this time with the Coon Rapids thing. So now, if you look at my resume, Digital Career Academy, April 2007, they gave us basic VMware training, desktop support. I learned, let me tell you how much I felt like I learned. I learned such a wealth of information with my tools. When I'm talking about, like, when I say pinnacles of my career and everything, I wasn't yet working in the IT field as a full-time thing. When I was doing little bits and pieces of computer repair, even before that, that wasn't something that was as common. You know, I had to kind of build my clientele up, but because when I was hustling in the streets, it's just an easy transition because you're still dealing with technical things. You see what I'm saying? I'm still using the computer every day. You know, I'm making mixtapes and stuff like that. I'm passing my business card. A lot of people out there didn't have business cards at first. I noticed when dudes start doing that. When I started doing that, I kind of noticed dudes say, "Hey man, where you get them business cards?" And I, of course, tell them, because in my mind, there was enough money for everybody. Now, when the crackheads, when they start doing dollar CDs and stuff like that, they mess the game up because they don't care. You know what I'm saying? So they devalue the grind. You know what I'm saying? I'll probably do another story about that. If my allergies too bad, I may not. I don't know, but I might just go ahead and do it. So when it came to after we closed the one-stop shop, remember, I was out in Burnsville. So I was out in Burnsville from like October 2010 to 2011. And then remember, I told you I went downtown for a little bit. July 2011 is when I got that Grand Marquis. So now I have a now let me let you know what happened. My car had broke down. Remember, I got settlement money and stuff like that, and I was doing, goofy stuff at the time. I was kind of running through cars and stuff, and if something ain't where I could sell it or whatnot. But I bought a Tahoe in Columbia Heights. They sold me a lemon. This place called Tri-City Auto sold me a lemon, and once again the transmission went out. Now, by this time, I'm supposed to be done with these little car fixing issues, but they were all like used cars where they weren't, So, right before that, before I sold that Tahoe, I had a Park Avenue. And I should show y'all that video. I'm gonna see if I can upload the video. I'm gonna upload it probably at the very end, just so I can see it was clean. I should have kept that too, but I ended up selling that, and I ended up getting a Tahoe because that's what I really wanted. So I got the Tahoe. I didn't have that Tahoe for no more than about a month or two, maybe 2 months at the most. You know what I'm saying? And I bought that Tahoe probably at the end of 2010. So I had it a couple months, and I was pretty much. The same thing happened to that Lumina on Lake Street that happened in the end of 2008, or the end of 2007. The same thing that happened at the end of 2007 or the beginning of 2007. That Tahoe transmission broke down. So what I ended up doing was I made like another payment. I shouldn't have paid him a dime. But I got it to the point where I drove that car up there, and I parked that shit and put the keys in there and called him and said, "Man, come get this piece of shit. I'm not paying you no more." So the company, they kept calling, and they were like, "Oh, well, let's see if we could put you in a different car and this, that, and the third." I said, "Man, y'all had to know that you sold me this garbage car." Now the note on it was like $200-300 a month or something like that, and I think it was like $5,000. Now when you really look at what that Tahoe was worth, man, that Tahoe probably wasn't worth no more than about $2,200 at the most, but they add their little tax on there. I should have just saved up and just bought a Tahoe. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I should have went to a private owner that actually took care of it and just bought a Tahoe. I really don't know what I was thinking. I just don't. Because the Park Avenue was a private owner, and that red marquee that I had in well, that's fast forward. That's damn. Let me think. That red marquee that I had when I was going out to Bloomington in 2010, that was a private owner too. So I had a lot of private owner cars. It seemed like when I start going back to those little janky lots, that's when I start having major issues. So 2011, left that company at Burnsville. The manager was pissed because she felt like, well, I didn't invested all this time in you, and I was starting to kind of take over her reins on the administration of getting ready to learn Microsoft Exchange and stuff like that, and dealing with GoDaddy and all of that. And that's where I got a lot of my Apple Mac chops. But business is business. Y'all only trying to give me $17 an hour. It's a little BS raise. Yeah, I had my own office and stuff like that, but I'm like, okay, I kind of reached the pinnacle of I wasn't learning anything else. And I got to drive way out here to Burnsville. And you know, when my car broke down, remember my car, I was still going out to Burnsville. So my car broke down during the wintertime in, I think it was early 2011. You know, I had been driving, what was I driving out there? At first I was driving that Grand Marquis out there. So October 2010, you know, I had that Grand Marquis. Because remember, in August 2010, that company in Bloomington had let me go. And that's when I start opening up them lawsuits. So I'm fighting this lawsuit for this stuff for years on end, but I'm still working. I'm like, okay, the money ain't gonna come right away. So what ended up happening was I was driving that Grand Marquis out there. You see what I'm saying? And I should have just kept driving it. Eventually I got settlement money from that second car accident with the two-door. I should have just been stacking and racking. I didn't do that. I did something dumb. So I sold that Grand Marquis. I went and got the Park Avenue, and then I guess I didn't want that no more, and I ended up going to get the Tahoe. So, you know, I should have just kept the Marquis, even if I bought the Park Avenue as a backup, and just kept stacking, racking, and stacking. I go do something stupid, go out to Columbia Heights at a known place. This place was like Lake Street, but just in a better area. You see what I'm saying? And I didn't know nothing about that place. I didn't. I should have checked with some of my homies, like, hey man, you heard about this place in Columbia Heights? They would have told me, oh bro, don't go over there. They sell lemons. So I bought the Tahoe. Eventually now I'm driving out to Burnsville because I got the job. So when I bought that Tahoe, that was probably late 2010, and it broke down. So now I'm still making payments on this until I give it back. So I'm still making payments on this thing, which I shouldn't have been making. And I was worried about the credit, this, that, and the third. So now I get to a point where now I'm out of a car for a while. I don't know how long it was, but I think I was still making the payments just to, you know, keep it going or whatever. Eventually I gave it back, but I think I was still making the payments for a little while. And I said, well man, this is gonna mess with my credit. So I had a homie that co-signed for me. He co-signed for me, and he's like, shit, it's gonna boost mine too. But I went to Bloomington Lincoln Mercury and got I think it was an 08 Grand Marquis. It had like 40,000 miles on it or something like that. Real clean, ready to go. So I dropped $1,000 on that right before they was getting ready to do that voluntary repo thing. So now I'm back. But from like January, February, all the way to July, I was without a car because I think I was still making payments on that thing, but I wasn't driving. I think I gave it back and I'm just still making the payments because they're like, okay, even though you don't have the truck, you still owe us. So I went to Bloomington Lincoln Mercury, got that Grand Marquis. Now I'm downtown with the story of the Chicago sister and the DEI sister that was at that marketing company downtown. I talk about this all the time. How that DEI BS, that didn't work for those sisters there. That sister came, I told you, that came in from Chicago. She came in from Chicago, and now the little white girl that don't know nothing she had to train her in, and she took her position under the DEI. That's why. Let me tell y'all something. If it's any Negroes talking about, oh, let's go to this little march that's supposed to be happening, man, we black folks need to stay out of that. Freedmen need to stay out of that. Now the immigrant class and the whites or whatever, y'all, okay, y'all do your thing. We ain't getting in that. We don't need to be up in that. We need to be done with that. This little march against Trump or march or whatever this thing that they supposed to have, and this old BS boycott with Sharpton, that man, listen, don't even waste your time. Don't even waste your time, because what happens is we end up getting mobilized, and you see, like I said, what happened to that sister under the DEI. No, so I wasn't there that long. So they wrote me a nice little severance. I literally laughed to the bank when they had let me go out of there, and they wrote me a nice little severance. I mean, and I ain't even gonna say what it was. It was decent. It was super decent. I was happy to get that. And then I can start doing little one-off little installs and stuff like that for the rest of the year. Robert Half called me. Then I did that Windows 7 migration I told y'all about. So that was cool. That was the first time I was touching Windows 7. That Windows 7 migration. All right, so now that went towards July and whatnot. All right, so now we get to the managed service story. I was working with some recruiter that said there's a managed service company in Eagan. It's a bunch of them there. So I won't say the name of the company, but I had one manager. Basically, they specialize in a lot of virtualization and stuff like that, and they had this one dude. So they had this sloppy white dude. He up in there. He's supposed to be training me in. My manager didn't do no training at all. So this guy is supposed to be, he was some dude that gets worked at a restaurant. He didn't hardly know nothing. So he kind of got the job by prognosis just because he was friends with the person. He had a buddy that ran the company. So now I was sold. First of all, my rate wasn't what I should have got. I should have got more. They didn't want to pay me. I think it was like 50 something. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't. Let me see if I can pull that up. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. I want to see if I don't even know. I probably was using my old Yahoo. Let me see if I can pull that up real quick. Give me 2 seconds. I don't even know if I don't think I had the offer letter, but it was no sense in me putting it on the resume. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna see if I even happen to have the damn offer letter. That was around the same time that I got my first smartphone. I had got a Galaxy 3 and I just couldn't believe it. Oh man, I couldn't believe it. So I had got a smartphone. So let me see if I can get the offer letter real quick. I want to see if I can get the offer letter. I just want to see what I was making. I can't remember it was much, but I remember I had my Grand Marquis at the time, because remember I had already did the Windows 7 migration, so that paid like 20 something. I can't remember how much it was, but it paid every week through Robert Half, and that was a good position. So yeah, I don't think I got it. I don't remember how much it was, but whatever it was, they didn't want to pay me what it should have been. And so they promised, well, we're going to train you up and ramp you up on VMware certifications, and you're going to support VMware. That's what attracted me to the position, because I would have went somewhere else, but I went ahead and said, all right, cool. So as a managed service company, I'm gonna tell y'all something. You're supporting a lot of companies that may not have their own internal IT infrastructure. So for example, you're the help desk, you're the system administrator, you're the person that takes and fields calls. If there's an issue with a desktop, a lot of times the managed service company will lease them out laptops and desktops, and what they'll do is it'll be like an all-you-can-eat buffet. I'm gonna pay you $1,500 a month, and we could call you between the hours of 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. If we call you beyond that, there might be some other negotiation depending on what kind of contract. Let's say you have a bronze contract, a gold contract, a platinum contract. Platinum customers might get this kind of service. Managed, quote unquote, managed service. So we manage your service. You have issues with printers, Microsoft Exchange, the whole shebang, whatever we agree. So what they'll do, they'll send out a salesperson and maybe like a business analyst or a business architect, or, you know, usually MSPs are relatively small. The big dogs are like TCS and Persistent and a lot of them Indian-based companies and stuff like that. HP does some stuff like that too. They can have anywhere between 3 to 30,000 employees. A lot of them are contractors. That's big. But you might have a smaller MSP where it's like maybe 50 people with the company, 20 people, whatnot. So if you're a system administrator, network engineer, you might have these certain accounts. Let's say you have an account with, I'm just saying, 3M, Target. Bigger MSPs usually deal with them with vendors. These companies, they may not necessarily always want to hire somebody internally. It's HR money, it's a bunch of onboarding, it's this, that. Let's just get an MSP. I'm gonna pay you $2,500 a month, or $3,000 a month, or, you know, usually $1,200 a month. And then you're going to manage our service. We're going to give you access and passwords to your servers. You're going to be the system administrator, as a sense. A young guy or girl coming in, sometimes those are cool because you get to touch everything. You're not pigeon-toed. And a lot of times they have deals with the vendors, such as Sonic Wall, Firewall, or you know, Cisco for their firewalls and a lot of their routers and switches and things of that nature. So they'll have partnerships and vendor partnerships, relationships where they're actually buying and reselling. So it'll be implementation. We need 5 new routers, and we need 3 or 4 wireless WAPs, not Cardi B. I'm saying WAPs, wireless access points. Y'all was thinking about Cardi B. No. Some WAPs. So you have 5 WAPs, and then you'll have a router, and then whatnot. Okay, how much is that gonna cost? Oh, for this whole implementation, for us to input this infrastructure, you'll have a guy, a network engineer, come in, or somebody from implementation. They'll do what they call a site survey. How many people do you have in this building? Well, we only got 100 employees. Okay, how many floors? It's 4 floors. Four floors. Okay, so you got a WAP here, you got a WAP there, you got a WAP there on each floor. You need a router, you need some switches. We'll do all that. Okay, this whole project, 30 bands or 40 bands or 100 bands. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is. So now, what they'll do is they'll say, all right, we want you to install all of this. So this whole project may go about a month. So they'll get people. That's what they do. They'll usually be what they call solution architect. They'll sit down, they understand sales, or pre-sale engineer, or post-sales engineers. There's a lot of money in that too. And they'll work with the project managers and the on-site IT people to implement this. And then they'll have milestones. Okay, we've got 20% of the project. We got 30%, whatever the contract entails. Then they might say, you know what? We don't want to hire no internal people. Let's hire you. We like how you did business. So they'll call me for a password reset or whatever the case may be. So I'm being sold on the position I'm interviewing. I'm being sold that you're going to come in and we're going to learn you up on VMware and supporting that. And then you'll do some desktop support and stuff like that too. I was getting to the point where it was just going to be a lot of phone support, but from time to time, I might have to go out to the clients, and you drive using your vehicle or using theirs, reimbursement if needed, and then you support their stuff. I wasn't too feasible about that. I wasn't interested in that, to be quite honest. But, you know, that's part of the description. I was not interested at all, because me personally, I just don't like all these different people that I'm just, you know. And so I said, okay, I'm used to get, okay, one client, one position, do the job. But you may be assigned to do, you know, field support with several different clients. So now you got to learn all these different companies and stuff like that. Not a bad thing for a guy coming in, getting his feet wet and whatnot. Now, I just did a Windows 7 migration for a very large manufacturing company out in Columbia Heights. That's some more chops that I was saying. So I start kind of moving around in Columbia Heights a little bit, kind of moving and shaking. I would go get me some lunch at Lunch and Byerly's and stuff. So, you know, and then me, I got my business cards. I'm networking. You see what I'm saying? So I'm going to different places. You know, I go take my lunch or whatnot. And, you know, that's another story. So now I come in. The guy's showing me all this, that, and the third. They had a strange way on how they deploy things where you had to upload the drivers or do something to the drivers or whatever. And then they put me through what they call a sonic wall training. This is where this comes in. So let me show you this. This is what I was talking about. So September 6th and 7th, I use Global Knowledge, and that's a certification vendor. They're kind of like Certiport or whatnot. Basically, they're a vendor where they hire trainers, like the training I was doing. Remember, I was doing tech training. And then you take a class. And that class was very, very hard. It was tough. It was kind of tough. So it was a sonic wall training. But basically, they called that network security basic training. And they were going to pay. Now, just to give you a little background on sonic wall, a lot of small and medium-sized businesses use that. So, of course, I had put that on my resume at one point when I just wanted to attract certain people. I didn't remember half the stuff that they was, but I did take the cert at some point. Now, it didn't really help that much, but I think I took it like once or twice. I didn't pass it, but, you know, whoop-de-doo. I never saw another sonic wall again, but it would have been nice to have. So, like I say, I don't like dealing with networking and the firewalls and all that kind of stuff no more, but you know, if you're good at it and that's something you like to do, by all means. So now I'm still kind of getting my feet wet. I think I might have started that position in, I don't know, August, maybe August, September, something like that. So now I'm learning, kind of doing my thing. And one day, you know, I'm doing support, just doing my little thing. And so this guy is supposed to be ramping me up and onboarding and stuff like that. So one day, I'm trying to remember the first thing. I was taking some calls and something wasn't going. I don't know what it was, but the UPS person came to deliver a package because they deliver laptops, and I'll open them up and then throw them on the bench, and then you just go ahead and push the applications and do whatnot. There was some instructions that was incorrectly written, and so I'm following the instructions. And then something happened to where it took him longer to get the laptop, and then he had to go do something else and had to go do something, fix it, or whatever the case may be. So he was always complaining about not having time because the job was taking too much time away from his wife and all this kind of stuff. And that ain't got nothing to do with me. I really don't give a damn. That ain't got nothing to do with me. You need to talk to your manager about that. So that became a problem. So that was always an issue. But that doesn't have anything to do with me. I'm still onboarding and training and whatnot. So one day, the UPS lady, she comes by. Now, every black person knows to get down in Eagan, Minnesota. They kind of know that get down. So they're kind of like, you know what I'm saying? So y'all, anybody in Minnesota, I ain't even got to go into Eagan, Minnesota. I don't. Y'all know the deal. So now, the UPS lady, he introduces me to her because she's the one giving me the packages and the laptop. And the way this is what the dude says. He says, "Hey, this is Derek. He don't know much." Like it was like a joke almost or something like that. You got to watch Race Soldiers about jokes. The Klan started as a joke, right? So they like to play these devious little jokes. So the lady kind of looked at me and she hands me the package or whatever. Now, that I want y'all to, black folks, I want y'all to understand and how I break this down here. That might have seemed like a very simple joke, right? What he was pretty much telling her, they were getting on code with each other, pretty much insulting me in a way. Because even if you're playing, you don't introduce another professional by saying a new employee, they ain't been here 5 minutes, what he doesn't know. Because what you're doing is you're setting him up for failure. You're saying that, hey, this nigga don't know shit. That's really what you're saying. And I didn't know much coming in. Of course, I'm not gonna know much because I'm still learning y'all's process. But I took it as an offense because I'm like, okay. So I'm thinking in the back of my mind, let me put that in my Rolodex. So now that had rubbed me the wrong way, on top of the fact that they did not hold up their end of the bargain when it comes to what I signed up for. A lot of companies do this. But I said, okay, cool. Let me see what they do. So now it was something that I didn't do. I don't know. It was something I did incorrectly or whatever like that. And so I fixed it. And there was another situation where I talked to the I think after that I had my first one-on-one. And I mentioned to the manager, hey, I know that you guys agreed bringing me on. You're gonna ramp me up and focus me up on VMware, because that was my whole point of going there. Because I knew that if I could get that experience, then I could kind of just paint my career how I wanted. I would have that good experience. He tells me, well, I think that we should have did a better job at, making sure we explain this, that, and the third. So he's babbling. He's Mayo babbling at this point. He's just babbling and babbling and babbling. And I'm like, oh, man, okay. This is Babble Bob here. So he's babbling on excuses. He's really just explaining. And so he says, well, I think we should have did a better job at getting a hold of, getting the right person for the position to be able to do the VMware stuff and all this here. And, you were brought on more for the front end. So now they're lying at this point. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Okay. So I asked them about, in terms of the training on how this guy's handling me and stuff like that. So he was being real hands off and vague about it. And I said, okay, he's not really trying to manage me or whatever. He's trying to let the other guy do it. And I'm like, okay. And once again, that wasn't a part of the agreement, but whatever. So now I go and I talk to some dude. He wanted to spend some money with the company, so I'm buttering him up. He's like, oh, I like him, and I'm just kind of doing my real good customer service thing. Oh, he's great. So he calls back up to the company, wants to talk to the owner. Oh, he's doing a great job. I like this dude. Keep him around, and he's going off and off and off. And he called back in a couple times, and I resolved some issues. Oh, he's wonderful. So now I go and I talk to the HR. She pulls me to the side one time. They said, oh, you're doing a wonderful job, blah, 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 blah. That all changed at the drop of a dime. And I thought it was very interesting on how it went. So now, a couple months later, now, there's no standard process for how stuff goes. They don't even have a standard or SOP, standard operating procedure. So this guy's getting busier and busier. He's having to do more field support. Now I'm just kind of fielding the calls. He's kind of talking a little slick. And so I start getting to the point where I'm like, man, I'm about ready to get out of here. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I'm like, okay, I think I'm about to start looking, because this ain't going well. So I'm messing around with my Galaxy and stuff like that. So I'm kind of like on purpose doing it a little bit like lightweight, like, because there's no phone calls coming in, and I've already cleared my alerts, because they got this little alert where you look at the servers, and so all the morning work's done. There's really nothing else to do. I mean, there's nothing for you to do. So I'm messing with my Galaxy and stuff, and I'm just messing around, checking my emails. I probably was uploading my resume or something like that. So he comes in, talking about, he said something about the phone. I can't remember what it was, and I'm just like, okay. So I put it down, and I opened up the console with the alerts. So I'm looking at some more alerts. So then he sits there and says, you know what? I can't remember what he said, but he said something like, you know what? Yeah, I can't keep giving you stuff to do, or something like that, because they had some kind of, it was screws and screwdrivers all over in this little area or something like that. So basically, he was insinuating, to find something to do, I guess, and There was literally nothing. Everything was all kind of where it needed to be and stuff. So there was no boxes to break down. The machines is breaking. So there's not really too much. The tickets is all. Everything is everything. So he got a little snazzy about it, and I should have checked his ass right then and there. I should have checked him because I was getting up out of there anyway. They ended up letting me go. But I should have checked his ass, because the way and the tone that he handled me, what I should have told him was, look, man, if there's something that you need done around here, you can give me a task. Now, if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to delegate that, talk to my manager. Now, those words that pretty much ends it right there. That ends the position, you know. So I get some more rave reviews coming in. And then mysteriously, one day they say, oh, things are getting busier and busier and stuff like that. My manager pulls me in. Now, I had already, to be quite honest, made it up in my mind, and I wasn't there long. I had already kind of made it up in my mind. I ain't really want to rock with them no more. I should have, before this, I was thinking I should have just called Robert Halfback and see what they got. That's what I should have did. But, you know, I said, let me see how this MSP works. So, the guy pulls, it was a weird morning. The guy pulls me in. I come in. They could have did it the day before, but I come in and I see this fat bastard sitting there. And I log in and I start clearing my alerts and doing my due diligence, clearing off my morning work. That's done about 15 minutes later. Or it was either that or I think I start to do it. Yeah, you know what it is? I'm thinking about something. I start to do it. So I'm starting to clear the stuff off. I log in and he said, don't do anything this morning. I said, oh, okay. I said, what's going on? So at this point, we kind of like, I'm like, okay, what's going on? He says, oh, don't do nothing. Don't work on anything this morning. So I knew that was some BS. I said, okay. So then my manager comes in. You got a minute? Let me tell y'all something. If you're a black person in the workplace and if a white person walks up to you and asks, do you have a minute? And they get ready to bring you into a conference room, you know what time it is. That's the term that they typically use. Usually. And so I already conditioned my mind, okay, yeah. This is, and I was ready to go anyway. And I wasn't there long. So now I'm talking to him. Same song and dance. He's explaining and babbling. We thought that the direction of the company that we're going in is more centric to virtualization and VMware and this, that, and the third. The same stuff that they were supposed to train me up on. And I said, okay, I understand that. I said, when you brought me here, we had both had a clear understanding that I didn't have much VMware experience, right? He said, yep. I said, okay. So now he's babbling more rather to get to the, and he's like, well, we thought that we're probably going to have someone more involved in project work and experience and more this, that, and more that. So now he's using that Hollywood, we're going in a different direction babble. I'm like, all right. I said, okay. So now that I'm sitting here and I ask him, because he's real timid about it. He don't really want to say too much. He's not like the other, because he was like a co-owner. So I said, all right, so what's the point? I just came out and said, I said, man, what does this mean? What's the point? Are we moving forward? Well, unfortunately, we're going to have to move in a different direction. I said, okay, what does that mean? Well, Derek, I said, okay, so I'm gone. I said, all right, do you have my last check? Yeah. Do you have my last check, sir? I would like that. I would like that within 24 hours, according to the Minnesota statute, because he just couldn't get around it. You see what I'm saying? So I said, "Do you have my last check?" Yeah, that's what we were gonna get to. I was like, "Okay, all right." So here's the bags. And he had an envelope. So this was something that they had planned already or whatever. And again, you know how most people, they was just kind of like, and I'm at that time, I'm a single dude. I didn't have no kids. You know what I'm saying? I had, put a little money away. I got a working car. You know what I'm saying? I'm not tripping. I was relieved, to be quite honest, because it was one of those environments where you just kind of like, you just don't want to be there. Just coming in, you just like, man, this shit's some bullshit. So that's where my mindset was, in my 20s. So he slides over the check. I said, well, let me open it. So I open it up. I see where it looked like it might have been a severance or whatever. Like, so I said, okay. All right, so here's your bags. I walk out and I see the fat bastard sitting there. He's like, oh, sorry, Derek. Sorry. Nigga, you ain't sorry. You ain't sorry about nothing. So, I think I had, I don't remember. I don't think I really had anything. And here's another little story. Like before that, I threw the blades on that marquee at one point. I bought some blades, and around that time, which was my now wife, my girl stayed. She stayed in St. Paul, so I had parked my car over her house, because a lot of times I go over there. I had my own apartment, but I parked my car over at her house, and some dusty ass niggas from St. Paul try to steal my rims, but I had them locks on them. You can't really break those off. You need some real heavy duty equipment that will make too much noise. But they were trying to pry my rims because they couldn't get them off. I had locks on it. If the locks would have been off, they could have just took my rims off and just left it on bricks or whatever they were trying to do. But they were trying to steal my rims and my tires. They couldn't steal them, so they start trying to pry it off. On my way to work, and this might have been, after maybe a couple weeks after I had started, I'm driving, and I'm trying to think where I was at. I think I was on 35. I think I was getting ready to come up on 35E, right around there by Rice, or kind of around about that area, so I could go on the, go on the Egan or whatnot. And my tires start, they start wobbling. I said, oh hell. So I pull over. Was it by 35? It was somewhere around 36. But somehow I got off the highway and ended up, matter of fact, I don't think I was quite on Rice yet. I think I was like on what's that street? Damn, man, what's that street, man? It wasn't Hamlin. I didn't go that far. It might have been before you go to 35. And there's this place there's a mattress place. So it's beyond White Bear, but it's like let me see. Because I like that the details. I never forgot this because I remember what happened to me. So hold on. English Street. Yeah, it was like English Street or something like that. It was on English. So I got off on English or something. And I think I went somewhere to where somebody either helped me change the tire. I can't remember how I got to work, man. All I know is I think I might have went into, maybe I went to Maplewood Toyota or somewhere around that little area off Beam or whatever. And man, you know what I'm saying? I ended up, getting like a spare. I think I put a spare, and I drove to work. I called them and let them know, hey man, somebody tried to steal my, So, and they were like, oh, okay, whatever. But I remember that part about it. But yeah, man, I mean, after that, I went ahead and put that Sonic Wall that network security training. I put that on my resume. And like I say, that was September. I think it was later than September. Let me see. I will double confirm that. Yeah, man. Yeah, I got dates. I got dates for all of these places or whatever. Yeah, I was in 2011 when I left that Burnsville position. I was only at that company 2 months. 2 months, and then this managed service company. After I did my first Windows 7 migration, I was there from October to from August to October. I didn't even get a chance. I did not even get a chance, man. I didn't get a chance, y'all. And so, October. So they let me take the training in September, and they let me go a month later, saying that they needed somebody that could do VMware, and I was supposed to ramp up on VMware. So, they was playing little games or whatnot, and I said, okay, whatever. So I had no it wasn't one of them situations where you're like, oh man, I didn't want to be here, or I wanted to be here so bad or whatever. It was when I was taking that firewall training and stuff like that, it was all kind of little funny stuff going on then. And I said, okay, but I didn't argue with the guy. I got into the question mode. Okay, you need me to do this? This is what I'll do. But all this, you get to acting like he want to yell and all this kind of stuff. And even then, I was very calm. Well, I can't keep telling you this and that, this, that, and the third on what to do and all that. I can't keep giving you stuff what to do. You're the manager. You're supposed to delegate tasks. If my tasks are complete and I'm requesting more work, I'm saying, hey, is there any other tickets that I could look at? I can't keep giving you work to do. You're the task manager. You're the person that's supposed to give me the task. That's what my manager told me. Is there something that I don't understand? So I said, okay. I just left it at that. Now I should have really checked his ass. Hey, listen, man. You gonna have to talk to me in a better tone. Because there was really no point of me trying to hold on and all that. And I'm gonna tell y'all something too, man. Like, especially around that time, I had a lot more options. The workplace is different and money is different now. So there was just options left and right. But I'm trying to play chess. I'm like, okay, this dude got a problem. He's mad for whatever reason. I don't give a damn. But I'm not mad. But I think given that they was just gonna cut me loose, I should have snapped on his ass. I said, like, hold on, dude. You gonna have to talk to me a different way. He wasn't cursing at me, but his voice was a little too loud, and the tone. You see what I'm saying? The tone wasn't correct. Not for a situation like that. Now if I would have kicked his dog and, threw a pie at his wife or something like that, then yeah, I get that. But not for nothing like that. That's very simple. So I went on, started doing my little one-offs, doing deployments. That was my thing, because I had already had Windows 7 migrations on my back. So there was little tasks and little place. I used to go downtown. I started doing some deployments here, doing deployments there, and that's, I survived through the end of that. And at the beginning of 2013, I just rolled the Windows 7 wave. I rode the wave until you couldn't ride it no more. Blue Cross, Travelers, Medica, AIG, all of them. I just rode them. I just started riding the wave. I rode that wave for like another 5 to 6 years or whatever, because each contract I started getting more money, especially like when I got to that 25. Around that time, that was a lot. I don't know why it just seemed like it was so much money for me, but man, when I was making that 25, that just seemed like a ton of money. And that wasn't even what I should have been getting. I should have been getting more, but I didn't know. I should have been getting way more than that. Way more. But I didn't know. You see what I'm saying? So, that's my story for that MSP. Once he introduced me to that UPS lady, and the training was never standardized, and I wasn't really getting what I needed, because the things we agreed to, they never kept their end of the bargain. And like I say, companies do that. But when he said, oh, here's there, you don't know nothing. Oh, really? Okay. So guess what? When you start needing support, I don't know nothing. A lot of times I would get back at Ray. So when they pull that kind of stuff, I would get back at him a certain way. I would do things like that. Hey, we need to configure our Exchange server. I don't know how to do that. And I didn't. And that wasn't really part of the scope of my position. But, you know, you're supposed to. I'm not going to go. See, he kind of wanted me to go in there and just click shit around. And because he didn't really know what the hell he was doing. And he used to always say, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm like, well, damn. You might turn something off that you're not supposed to turn off. Yeah, but you know, we could just fix it later. I'm like, oh, hell no. We ain't about to be messing people's shit up just because you don't know what the hell you doing. So now that I really think about it, I never thought about it this way. He didn't know what he was doing because I noticed how much he used to always say that. Yeah, we don't know what we're doing around here. We don't know what we're doing around here. He used to say that every day, at least 3 to 4 times. So now I understand why he told the UPS lady, I don't know nothing. But I noticed, here's the other part of the story. I noticed when that lady, when she came around me and handed me the boxes, she kind of handed it to me funny. And she just had a funny, how you doing, ma'am? And I'm like, man, this lady's a cunt. I don't know how they say it. I ain't trying to use other words. I said, man, this lady's a damn cunt, man. Like, she's just off of the way that he introduced me. So you gonna mistreat me? I'm being candid. I'm being, you know, hey, how you doing, ma'am? Good morning. And her attitude is just real funky with me by the way he introduced me. So I said, all right, I'll fix their ass. Number one, you didn't hold up your agreement on this VMware thing. I didn't get the rate I was supposed to get. This dude's talking kind of slick. All right, I'm just gonna show my ass. You a dumb nigga? Okay, I'm gonna act like a dumb nigga the rest of the way. Cause I know that I'm not gonna be here too much longer. I know this ain't gonna work because either me and him gonna have some words, and once we had them words, it's not gonna be like how I first walked in the door. When I first walked in the door, like the first week, you know, I knew something wasn't right, but I'm just like, okay, I'm here. You know, I'm gonna give it my best shot. I'm gonna do the best job that I could do. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna volunteer. I'm gonna ask questions. Half the questions I'm asking, I can't get no answers. I don't know what I'm doing. We don't know what we're doing. Every 5 minutes, hey man, what you think about this? What you think about that? I don't know. You know I don't know. I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Well, Active Directory should be on a tree or a forest or whatever. Look, man, we need to talk to the engineers about that. Don't just click it. Let's click it right now. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not about to this is managed service. So you want me to start deleting trees and forests and start configuring group policies that we don't know anything about? Hell no. You're not going to get me in trouble for that. Well, you know, we'll just call up Jake. No, man. So because he didn't know what he was doing, that's how you introduced me. So, yeah, you're right. I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. So that's my answer now. So, but it was just very interesting on how it went from he's doing a wonderful job, and then a couple weeks later, it's I'm not gonna keep giving you stuff to do. I thought I was doing a good job. So yeah, that's something I do. Now, I got a rule at work. I don't bring nothing home and I don't take nothing to work. Race soldiers are allowed to do that. Black folks can't do that. We can't have a bad day at home and come to work and show our ass and keep our jobs. We're not allowed to do that. That's a privilege that's not afforded to us. We're not able to do that. They are able to do that. I've seen it 1,000 damn times. I ain't hardly bullshitting. They let the most mediocre Karen or Brad go to work, don't know a damn thing, and show they ass. Old problems at home, and he's throwing coffee and kicking stuff and doing all kind of stuff that we can't do. We're not allowed to do that. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, that's one of the reasons a lot of times black folks get into these environments, and this ain't just IT and corporate, this is everywhere, but specifically in the tech fields, in the corporate environment, just corporate. We get in these places, and these folks steady playing with us. And we just doing our job, and they wonder how sometimes some black folks be like, man, let me just do what I need to do, man, and just keep it pushing. I'm not trying to have a whole ton of conversation. I don't really want to do all that, because you have characters like this. and you're just like, okay, let me try to figure out how to weave, because now now you're in the yard. You're trying to figure this out. You're like, okay, I got the job down pat, but all the politics and everything else, let me try to fly under the radar. Well, he's not talking enough, and you're not this, and you're not that, and you didn't come to have a beer, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that. So now you're not judging me off my work. You're judging me off the politics. You're judging me off the politics. So if you could get a position where you could, I just had a conversation with a brother not too long ago. He said, man, I ain't really too interested in dealing with the business units. I know exactly, and he said, there's a reason why. And that's all he said. And I knew right off the rip. I knew right off the rip what he was talking about when he said that to me. Right off the rip. He didn't even have to explain. Because he's like, okay, I can just do my work. And every time I would come by and I see him, he's in there. He got his little headphones on, and I'm in the development side. I said, oh, so you ain't got to deal with the break fix BS. He said, nah, brother. He said, I can just do what I do. I throw my headphones on, and all the project managers and all this politics and all that. He said, that could go to hell. I'm not even interested. I don't even want to deal with it. And he doesn't have to, because the scope of his position is basically to write codes and do whatever he does and all that. And he can put his headphones on, and if somebody's disturbing him, hey man, what's going on? I'm writing code. I'm trying to get this code up. What do you need? They don't have to. They don't really. He's doing coding, so they can't really be disturbing him every 5 minutes unless they got something for real to say. They can do that in a sprint, Scrum environment, Agile. We could do that in a sprint. Let me know in the next Scrum meeting, because I'm coding here. I'm building the framework for these programs and doing what. And I knew exactly what he was talking about when he said that the business unit. He said there's a reason why. So, yeah. And I applauded that brother to have that kind of position. I wasn't hating. I said, man, he's doing his thing, man. That brother could put his headphones on and start coding and not have to deal with them, you know what I'm saying? Did not have to deal with bird beak. Not have to deal with bird beak today until he has his next sprint meeting. And to be honest with y'all, I'm speaking for every black American in the room listening tonight. You can't say you go to an environment and never experienced that. And if you saying that you haven't, you're probably a Sambo. Yeah, you probably is. You probably a tap dancing, step infected Negro. If you're telling me that you've never dealt with it, oh, I don't see, that doesn't happen. Yeah, you one of those. Yeah, you one of those. You gotta be, because you've dealt with it at some point in time. And a lot of times, in those environments, if you're like one of the few brothers there, I'm gonna tell you who gives it to you the worst. The white liberals.
Yeah.
The white liberals give it to you the worst. It ain't the white conservatives or the so-called, if we gonna play that game. It don't be your so-called, oh, MAGA. Yeah, it be them too. But it be George Floyd. Yeah, George Floyd. Then when it comes to you getting your raise, well, Jerome isn't coming to the beer party. That's who be doing it. 9 times out of 10, rule after rule, ethics after ethics. Oh, we got so many rules. It's so many ethics. It's law and order. And then you send a nigga down the river. Every damn time. It be Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, Pride Week, it be all them kind of people. Let's all have some diversity, inclusion. You're not being inclusive. You're not stepping up. That's who be doing that. I'm telling you. You're not stepping up. They got all these little funny time words and these little stepping up and inclusive and man, they got all these little intersectional words and stuff. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They got some words. Man, they got some words. They got words we don't even typically use. They got some words. And then when you start seeing how they be treating you, you be like, damn, what happened to the law and order? George Floyd. What happened to George Floyd? Those be the main ones. Well, slavery didn't happen too long ago. That's what dude tried to say one time. He said, yeah, it didn't happen too long ago. He's like, yeah, man, hell on wheels. You know, they did Common wrong. Yeah. I'm telling you, that's what it be. That's what it be. I ain't BSing. Y'all know. And if I'm telling you, any black person listening to this, like, man, that don't be going on. Yeah, no. Yeah, man, I'm telling you that's who it be most time. So I'm gonna go ahead and upload this, but that was my experience at that MSP. Now, when I was doing them contract MSPs, a lot of them was gravy, except for that one at TCS, the last one. But all them other ones, man, that was gravy. Those was gravy, man, because you got your scope of work and you do your thing, and you know you get. I'm telling y'all this, y'all getting the TCS. That's like a long-term government contract, but get a high rate. Get the highest rate you can, because I'm telling you, them folks offshore, man, they don't want to go no higher. So get the rate you can get. You know, there was one position. Check this out. Let me show y'all something real quick, and then I'm gonna close this out. Now, this position is a position. It's a Salesforce position, 6-month contract. Now, you gotta train on site at Cottage Grove, and then you're remote from there on. So they just want, you know, experience with APIs and Postman. I've done that. Y'all seen on my second book, I got a whole chapter on Postman and APIs. They're saying proven experience in customer support, ServiceNow, Snow, a background in support role. So you already gonna have a little IT support. So they're looking at administrative experience with Salesforce integration, app management, training and support, excellent communication skills. So basically what they're looking at, and you should try to get 33 up out of this, because it's Salesforce. They're looking at like a command center kind of call center environment for Salesforce. Now they say it's in Cottage Grove. I don't know where it's at. It's remote with on-site training for 2 weeks in Cottage Grove. So now, if you have at least a year Salesforce, ping me. But I'm doing something else right now. Otherwise, I probably would have did it. You know, and it's an interview video. So you come on 2 weeks for the regular training, probably 8 to 5 in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. Now that's kind of over there by, not quite as Hastings, but it's over there. South, I'll say southeast metro. Right? So, basically you're dealing, they said retail network, assisting our retail network with technical issues. I don't know where that's at, but when they say retail network, I'm thinking more of like it's like a Target, or, you know, it's probably, I don't think it's Target, but it's I don't know what company it is. I'm not sure. But if I find out, I'll definitely let y'all know. But they said experience with APIs and Postman. I had that. But this would have been a real good role. Anybody that got any Salesforce, if you just got, all you need is a little bit. That's all they really wanted, was a little bit. You know, they're not really looking for a lot of the desktop support kind of stuff. But if you just got some Salesforce, and I got a Salesforce video under my early bird game playlist on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and take a couple trails. Slap it on your resume. You know, you'll have enough experience to probably support that. But this will be a good position to support. Like, remember I told y'all that story a long time ago where I could have been a BA. It wasn't technical enough for me because I was stupid. I had the opportunity right off of some of these Windows 7 migrations to work in Bloomington as a Salesforce BA. Basically, you're like the liaison and gets a little bit of break fix support, real basic. I said it wasn't technical enough. Dumbest decision I could have made in my life. That would have been a $110,000 job just a couple years later. That would have really opened doors for me. But I was being stupid and I decided not to do it. So if you get a position like this, an opportunity, don't say that. Don't say, oh, it ain't technical enough. Go ahead and do that Salesforce. You could end up being a Salesforce BA, $125,000. Yeah, for real. So I'm gonna load this up, y'all.
Yeah.
And this at the same time, so it syncs up.
Selling my 1990 Buick Park Avenue Electra. You can see it's a very nice car. 120,000 miles. Original miles. Elderly man owned this car. I'll show you the insides of it. Kind of dark. You can still see the inside.